What if the true teachings of Jesus were never fully recorded in the Bible? What if, more than 19 centuries later, Jesus himself returned, not in the flesh, but through spirit communications, to reveal his message anew? This series presents True Gospel Revealed Anew by Jesus. These writings, received in the early 20th century through James Padgett, claim to be direct messages from Jesus and other spiritual beings. Among them are biblical figures such as John, Peter, Paul, and Mary, Old Testament prophets, including Moses and Elijah, and other spirits who came forward to share truths and experiences from the spirit world. They describe a new gospel for all people, centered on God's divine love, spiritual rebirth, and the correction of long-standing errors in Christian doctrine. The origins and authenticity of these messages are debated. Some regard them as divine revelations, others as inspired writings, and some dismiss them entirely. Regardless of interpretation, they stand as a striking spiritual record, inviting reflection, discernment, and deeper understanding. The first message is titled The Truth Concerning Jesus. Jesus declares that he is now giving to the world the truths as he taught them when on earth, along with many that he never revealed to his disciples or inspired others to record. This, he says, will be his new gospel to all people. He identifies himself and explains that when he lived on earth, he was not worshipped as God. Instead, he was regarded as the Son of God in the sense that the truths of the Father and many of his mysterious powers were within him. He did not proclaim himself to be God, nor did he permit his disciples to believe such a thing. Rather, he was the beloved Son of God, sent to proclaim divine truths and to show humanity the way to the Father's love. Jesus emphasizes that he was not different from other men, except in one way: he possessed the love of God in such measure that it kept him free from sin and prevented the evils of human nature from becoming part of him. He states firmly that anyone who believes him to be God does not have true knowledge and is disobeying God's commandments by worshiping him. Such worship, he warns, is blasphemy, bringing great injury both to God's cause and to his own teachings. He explains that many who might have become true believers in the Father and faithful followers of his teachings were kept from doing so by this false doctrine of his divinity, an idea inserted into the Bible without his authority. He repeats that he is only a son of the Father, just as others are sons of the Father. While he was free from sin and error in his understanding of God's relationship to mankind, others too may become free from sin if they seek earnestly, pray in faith, and desire the Father's love. The Father, he stresses, is himself alone. There is no other God besides him, and only he is to be worshipped. Jesus describes himself as the teacher of truth, the way, the truth, and the life, because he is endowed with qualities of goodness and knowledge that enable him to lead men to eternal life in the Father. He came to teach that God has prepared a kingdom where all may live forever, if they so desire. Yet, despite his teachings, leaders of the Christian church imposed doctrines contrary to truth. As a result, many in later generations, exercising reason and intellectual freedom, turned away from God altogether, rejecting both him and his love. They came to believe that humanity alone was sufficient for its own salvation. Jesus says the time has come to correct both errors, the false doctrines taught by church authorities and the disbelief of those who abandoned God because of them. He acknowledges that the New Testament does not clearly preserve his true teachings. Many things recorded he never said, while much of what he did say was not written. He repeats the central truth: no man can come to the Father's love unless he is born again. This is the fundamental principle that must be learned and accepted. Without this new birth, no one can partake of the divine essence of God's love. But when a soul does receive this love, sin and error are removed, and the soul becomes at one with the Father. Jesus clarifies that this divine love is not achieved by human effort alone. Just as a river cannot rise higher than its source, no person, relying only on natural love and human power, can raise himself to the divine. Only when the divine comes into a person and shares its nature does that person become part of God's divinity. Those who do not receive this divine essence will remain natural beings. They may progress to greater goodness, freedom from sin, and happiness, but they will remain natural men. He came into the world to show the way to the Father's divine love and spiritual truths, while also teaching how to purify natural love for greater happiness on earth and in the spirit world. He warns that the happiness of natural man and the happiness of one filled with divine attributes are profoundly different and forever separate. True and perfect happiness, the celestial bliss prepared by the Father, is possible only through receiving divine love and becoming at one with Him. Jesus acknowledges that morality, right living, and natural love can bring a degree of happiness, but this is not the higher happiness that God desires for His children, and which He came to reveal. He closes by urging all to reflect deeply on these truths, and not to let the words of the Bible or the writings of men claiming His authority prevent them from receiving what He now teaches. With love and blessings, Jesus ends this first message, promising to continue revealing truths for His new gospel to all people, so that humanity may come to know that there is but one God and only one who is to be worshipped. This concludes the first message from True Gospel Revealed Anew by Jesus, titled The Truth Concerning Jesus. In this message, Jesus reveals His true relationship to God, correcting false doctrines and showing that only through the Father's divine love can a soul be reborn and united with Him. These words invite deep reflection on the nature of God, the mission of Jesus, and the path to true spiritual transformation. If this message has given you something to think about, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to hear more messages from this series, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next message. Thank you for listening. Until next time, may peace and light be with you.